After an exciting race and a test of attrition last week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, we come now to our first oval in quite some time here at the Chicagoland Speedway, just outside of Chicago in Joliet, Illinois, for round number 8 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season, just nearly at the halfway point of Season 2 here tonight. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And alongside me in the booth tonight, trying to stick it out and try to tough it out here tonight, is Tony Trapasso. Tony, I know you're not feeling well. Do appreciate you being here. This is going to be a fun race here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 29 cars entered tonight, and if the hot lap session is any indication of what we're going to look forward to, it's going to be one hell of a race.
It certainly is. And on track right now, you're seeing one of the newcomers to the series, Leonardo Elijah. His laps are, as a matter of fact, done here. We look now to Carl Burke in the number 53, halfway through the qualifying session as it sits right now here for tonight's round 8 race, the Windy City 300 at Chicagoland Speedway. As here comes Carl Burke, will slot himself into the 11th position here on this lap. Chris Walker about to complete his first lap. Jeffrey Roulette just in front of him jumps up into the 15th position. And there's a lot of things we're going to get to during the warm-up session here right after this. This is the first time these guys are actually going to hopefully use the multi-groove racing thing. We saw it play out on Tuesday night in the Coca-Cola Series. They had a great race at Auto Club Speedway, really showed off what that multi-groove can do. These guys are going to get their first chance to see what they can do in a full race, because the last oval we were at was Homestead, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where iRacing threw us a curveball and we kind of had to swing for it. But they've already made the announcement that should something similar happen again, that there's a procedure that is in place that all the drivers are aware of, and hopefully we won't have to use it.
That there is. And I'm looking at these times as we see Timothy Bates about to start his second lap. From 1st to 15th on the timing pylon are all separated by 1/10 of a second. This is going to be an incredibly close night with a car that's going to become increasingly unstable as the night goes on. Bates moves himself up to the 12th position. Ronnie Osmer, fastest of all in the first half of the lap. Second half of the lap, gets himself up into the 3rd position. But this is going to become a wicked car once the race starts to drag on.
Yeah, and the good news is they've already made the announcement that the apron is going to be off limits tonight,
yes,
which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing from a safety standpoint. It's a bad thing from a racing standpoint, because that just took about 30 feet out of the usable track area.
Now you are seeing them use the apron in the qualifying session. Drivers were told pre-race that it can't be policed during qualifying, but it certainly can during the race. So it was all fair game during the qualifying session, which has just come to a close. And we will get you the grid here once this 5-minute warm-up session here has come to a close from Chicagoland. Let's take a second now while these guys are getting out and getting ready to go here. Let's take a look at the point standings here coming out of the Carolina Grand Prix last week. Nate Siefker currently holding a 37-point lead over Chris Simard in the standings. Jeff Hollingsworth, Bentley Glazer, Jeffrey Roulette, your top 5. Now the top 2 or 3 are in a class of their own right now, but really from 5th on back, you're talking only about a 12-point difference. So we got a lot of close battles here in the midfield that we're going to be watching out for.
Yeah, there's still a ton of racing left to happen this season, and they just released the tentative schedule for next season. And there's a couple races I got to admit I am excited about seeing next season.
Yeah, they certainly are excited about some of those races. We will get to that schedule a little bit later on as the season comes to a close. But as far as this season goes, we are at what would have been the final race of the first half of the season. Now, Homestead 2 weeks ago kind of messed that up. So next week, the Ardennes Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, that will be the halfway point, the end of the first half of the season. This is a very good track to have right around the midway point of the season. It's going to require a lot out of these guys to work around each other. It's high speeds. It's going to be high action all race long. But again, with this setup, it's going to get wicked loose as the run goes on.
Yeah, and that's something you normally have to be mindful of at Chicago anyways, but even more so tonight with the new tire model, the new aero model, and the new damage model in effect.
Absolutely. As we're getting down to the final 2.5 minutes here in this practice session, we'll take a quick look as to what to expect for the remainder of the week. Tomorrow night is the Dirt doubleheader. It'll be the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series. They will be at Eldora, and then immediately following the 410 race will be their Big Block Modified Series. They will be at Limaland. A couple of great races last week at both Knoxville and at Williams Grove for the respective series. Thursday night is going to be really, really fun with these dirt cars, and also with USRA coming back. Hopefully they're thinking at the end of May into the beginning of June. Thursday nights is going to be a night you're not going to want to miss here on ESPN. Coming up on Friday night will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Daytona. Those guys will be in the ARCA cars for round number 10. Only 3 races to go until the spring run for the championship there for the Circle B Diecast Series. And then on Tuesday, a 3-day weekend, on Tuesday will be the MX5 Pro Series round number 4. That will be from Oulton Park, which is one of the better English tracks or British tracks. That will be at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time this upcoming Tuesday. And we will also have Western States back this weekend. I believe, if I remember correctly, they're going to be at Pocono on Tuesday night. We also have a couple of new series that are going to be joining over the course of this next week. We know that the Endurance for Beginners series will be coming on board with us. That is a brand new GT3 league that is going to be coming to the network starting this Thursday. This upcoming Wednesday. So this time next week, they call it Endurance for Beginners, but that's for drivers who have an I rating under 2,500, which is what I have, and I don't consider myself all that bad. So don't let the name throw you off. I'm sure it will produce some absolutely fantastic racing. And then also we're going to be throwing it back a little bit on Sunday nights when we have the Medieval Racing Series starting up next Sunday night, April the 11th, where they will run the 2013 Gen 6 Cup cars. Their season will be kicking off. They'll run a full 38-race schedule starting up next Sunday. So with the warm-up session coming to a close, let's take a look now at the grid here for tonight's Windy City 300. It'll be Mike Grandy Sr. taking his first pole of the season at a 25.296. Chris Simard will sit on the front row with him in that number 77, and you can see just how close these times are. The top 9 separated by less than half a tenth. Ronnie Osmer and Yari Brupatcher will make up row number 2. Brett Beasley and Butch Davis will slot in row number 3. Row 4 goes to Jeff Hollingsworth and Nate Siefker. Bentley Glazer and William Fletcher will make up row number 5. Row 6 will go to Jose Viguera and Paul Crumry. That will make up row 6. Row 7 will go to Timothy Bates and Jeffrey Roulette, while row 8 will see Carl Burke and Tony Phillips.
Johnny Antonucci and Charles Woods make up row 9. Row 10 sees Chris Walker and Dane Brazington. Jeff Bogan and Tyler Bloom are going to roll off in row 11, with row 12 going to Michael Bourne and Leonardo Elijah. Joe Morganti making his return to open wheel racing on Wednesday nights is going to be joined with Shane Loveridge in row 13. Row 14 sees Jason Duckworth and Kevin O'Brien, and starting shotgun on the field in the 29th starting spot, Raul Alvarez.
And some of the guys that you're seeing here tonight are guys that you normally would see compete in the Saturday night Bravo series. Miguel Vigara, I believe that was the name, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. It cuts off on my timing and scoring screen here. Leonardo Elijah, Shane Loveridge, those are all guys that were a part of the Bravo series, and when the Bravo series decided to shut down over the course of last week, those guys were invited to run the Wednesday night series, so those guys are call-ups from the Bravo series that will be racing here tonight. But Tony, 200 laps, it's going to be a very fun and exciting race, very fast pace here tonight as well.
Absolutely. As the field works its way through the 3-4 complex, Grandy's going to have the button. Now, the original start is going to be on the green. Everything after that is on the leader's discretion as the pace car makes the hard left turn onto pit road. Flagger with a flag in the air. Green flag is out. We are underway for 200 laps at Chicagoland.
Absolutely are. Mike Grandy taking his first pole award of the season will lead them down into turn number 1. Ronnie Osmer on that inside, and already look at the outside line. Look at the run. I believe that might be no, that's Carl Butch Davis, pardon me, got one heck of a run on that outside line. Caution already out. It's like Johnny Antonucci in the 13, the one that went around, that Firestone number 13.
I was looking for it, but I didn't see it.
We'll
Caught the apron in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, take a look and see here. He's fighting with Dan. Oh, no, he wasn't fighting with anyone. Just a little too low on exit, and around he went. So that will be caution number 1 here. And that was one of the things that these guys were warned about, is that this is going to be a very slick race car. And as I had mentioned several times during the qualifying and warm-up session, it's a very slick race car once it gets light on fuel and the tires start to wear in just a little bit. Now, there are things that you can use inside the car, such as the weight jacker and the anti-roll bar, that can somewhat counteract that. But still, it's going to be a very difficult night for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing to remember, too, is no matter what you do in an Indy car, you touch the apron on an oval track, 9 times out of 10, you're going around.
Lord knows I had a couple of scares in this car when I believe it was last season when the official series was here. Finished second. I would have won the thing if it hadn't been for a mistake that I had made. As we work our first caution here, I'm going to take this time really quick because once again I have made the same dadgum mistake I make every single week as far as the graphics are concerned. So there we go. Get the textures reloaded here. Get these guys in their proper vehicles.
Well, that and there was a Trading Paints update this week as well.
Yes, there was.
Found that out tonight.
So we'll get these reloaded here and we'll be back to showing you actual paint schemes here in just a moment as we work our first caution of the night. About to start lap 4, a single car spin involving Johnny Antonucci was the cause of that caution. these paint schemes will start to load in. I promise you. That's Johnny Antonucci, and the overlay wouldn't lie. There he is.
And it looks like Nate
animation.
Siefker may have had problems.
We're seeing Nate came down pit road.
He
stayed there too.
Yeah.
Stayed there for about a minute. Let's take a look and see as he comes into pit road here if he has any. Oh no, he slung the car around in the pit box. Doesn't appear to be any damage on that number one. Might just be trying to get to the back of the line.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So as Siefker falls to the back.
Lights are out on the pace car.
She should be going out here any second. As we get set to restart this race here. Yet to complete a full lap here tonight. Again, only working lap number 5 of the event. Again, a single car spin involving Johnny Antonucci in the 13. Coming out of turn 2 is the cause of this caution. Did not hit anything, so all cars are still in working order. The top 5 did shake up a little bit. Mike Grandy, Ronnie Osber, Brett Beasley up 2 positions. Samar down 2. Brupatcher down 1. And we saw on that restart how important that outside line can be. Saw Butch Davis make up quite a bit of time coming out of turn 2 on that restart. Could he possibly do it again?
Not with a single file restart. I mean, you've got to hope that everybody else in front of you goes low if you're going to try it. But we're about to find out as the field works its way through the 3-4 complex one more time, Frank.
Yep, they absolutely are as they all line up along the wall. Again, cannot pass to the left prior to the start line. As Mike Grandy lets it fly, and we are back to green flag racing here at Chicagoland. Ronnie Osmer in that second position. Brett Beasley goes to the inside going into turn number 1, trying to get the move done.
Beasley got to time that restart just right. Osmer was a little bit off on his timing as those two slugging it out. And here comes Beasley to the point. Grandy has no way to defend as Osmer takes the high line as well, trying to get a pull down the front chute.
Yep, and you can see already the variance of lines that these guys are running up here at the front. So Brett Beasley leads the first green flag lap here of the race tonight. A little bit further back in the field as we're still getting this battle here between Grandy and Beasley. Beasley able to keep it wound up on that inside line, able to take that run. Chris Samard now getting into the action. Yari Brupatcher now there as well in that number 89, and these guys are all fanned out through turns 1 and 2.
Absolutely. There's a little bit of a gap between Brupatcher and Davis as Samard throws it to the inside. Brupatcher had a great run going into 3, side by side, coming off of 4. As I was about to say, Davis about a half a second back off this battle for your top 5 spot. You can see him there, and then you're almost a full second back to Jeff Hollingsworth in 7th.
Yeah, these guys are starting to really get at it here at the front of this field. Brett Beasley trying to hold on here in the mid-pack. This is a battle for 13th position here between Jeffrey Roulette and Charles Woods. A little bit further behind them, Michael Bourne getting passed by Chris Walker. That would be for 17th. And Nate Siefker right now currently leading his own little group, as behind him Kevin O'Brien has a major connection issue going on behind him. Siefker running in the 21st position, but the battle is still up here at the front, still side by side between Brupatcher and Samard.
What was a 5-car battle is now a 6-car battle as Butch Davis has joined the fray. And the one thing to remember about Kevin O'Brien, folks, he's driving from Australia.
Same thing with Shane Loveridge as well, also out of that Australia-New Zealand club. And I think if you watched one of the pro races this morning, like around noon this morning, or pardon me, around 1 this morning, they were running the 1979 Lotuses around the Nürburgring, the full GP and Nordschleife combined. Sage Karam was in that. He was actually racing off of the data signal off of his phone because that was giving him faster speeds than his internet. So Australia, New Zealand, not necessarily known for their high-quality internet connections.
You're not wrong. Although Sage Karam is from Pennsylvania.
Or, what? Now you have me thinking about who it was. It was a pro Indy. It was an Indy driver. I know that one 100%. But anyway.
Back to the point at hand. Brett Beasley continues to show the way. Mike Grandy all over him right now. Ronnie Osmer right there as well on that third lane. He got his teammate Chris Samard in tow, and they got Yari Brupatcher looking to the inside of him.
This is right now for Bentley Glazer. Oh boy, you could see him getting around his teammate Jeff Hollingsworth, but this is what he is seeing out in front of his windscreen. Their cars all over the place in front of him, and he's right in the middle of it, as I believe Joe Morganti has gone off track as well. There is Morganti in the number 10, slow on the front straightaway. And I think, no, he does have the rear wing. Might have just slid it coming off of turn 4. We'll take a look and see what happened with Morganti. And yep, did just slide it coming off of turn 4. Very reminiscent of what we saw Paul Crumrye do several times back at Kentucky. And he's still having issues with that number 10.
Be right back.
Yep. As Brett Beasley goes around coming out of turn number 4, caution will come out. And boy, Beasley around he goes again. And the series administrators warned these drivers tonight that this car is going to become very, very dangerous on older tires. See what happened with Beasley, and just same thing that happened to Morganti, just lost it coming off of turn 4. Was able to save it and keep it straight, but the caution had come out.
There's a lot of damage on the nose of the 19 of Michael Bourne as well.
Michael Bourne towards the back of the field. Yep, oh yeah, there is that damaged wing. See what happens. Oh, this down the back straightaway, just loses it by himself. And new nose cone, please. So everybody will come into pit road now. Pit road, a busy place with 29 drivers in the field here tonight. And Beasley, the first one to roll out. Boy, Beasley got really lucky with that caution coming out when it did, because if not, he would have been no lower. Well, he would have been no higher than about 7th by the time he rejoined the racetrack.
Yeah, that could have ended poorly.
As Brett Beasley will retain his lead. Mike Randy, Ronnie Osmer, Chris Samard, Jeff Hollingsworth, the top 5 coming out of the pit stops. What we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick pause, and we'll be right back. You're watching the Windy City 300 right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. Tonight's broadcast of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series is sponsored by DiecastNuts.com. Post your own diecast collections, add or trade to it in the shop, and see other members' collections at DiecastNuts.com and on Facebook at DiecastNuts. And by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much more at RocketRacingSetups.com today. Tonight's race is also brought to you by the series sponsor, Turn Racing, and the series thanks you for your continued support. We are trying to get drivers their laps back. As Tony had mentioned, there has been connection issues once again as far as the iRacing server goes tonight. There was not a mass disconnect, so what the admins have decided to do now is they are going to extend this caution for drivers that were dropped by the iRacing server, get them back on the lead lap at least, or whatever lap they were on at the time of their disconnect, and they will then start from the tail end of the line. So we saw Carl Burke getting a couple of laps back not all that long ago there during the break. We saw that happening. Would love to be interactive with the chat here tonight. Logan Detweiler, yes, this series will be running in Indy 500. I believe it's going to be the penultimate race of the season for these guys, if I do remember properly.
Yes.
And the defending race winner, the most recent race winner, Jackson Bell, said he couldn't make it to the race tonight. Looks like fun. From what we've heard, it's a handful tonight. But as we go back to green flag racing, the pace car is off. Beasley goes immediately, and we are back to green flag racing.
Beasley wasted no time trying to put some distance between himself and Bentley Glazer. The only problem is, on a track like this where you can get a good draft, he may be a sitting duck by the time he gets to turn 3.
Absolutely, and we just saw the wild pack of cars that this front end of the field here is going to be dealing with all night long, as they tend to do on most ovals, as we start lap 23 of 200 scheduled laps here tonight. As the front pack now starting to close up once again. The top 5 have all closed up within a half a second of each other. Paul Crumry running in the 6th position right now, not that far off, actually inside the 5th place runner, Jeff Hollingsworth.
Hollingsworth and Crumry just throwing bombs at each other right now as Samard works to the inside of Grandy, or had a good run on Grandy. Grandy had to drop back a little bit as he got into the arrow wash of 2nd place Ronnie Osmer, as Osmer trying to reel in Beasley as we speak.
Osmer has finally gotten around Mike Grandy on the outside line, trying to make the middle line work now as both he and Grandy push up the racetrack. Coming out of turn 4, Grandy's going to get the draft and the run going into turn 1. Look at Chris Samard there in the 77. He is also battling now up here in this front pack. Yari Brupatcher in the 89 as well is going to get cut off by Jeff Hollingsworth going into turn 3.
Gets cut off, and that's going to let Crumry in the 3 get a good run on that high line as Butch Davis trying to reel these guys in from 8th place.
Paul Crumry riding on board with the pilot of the number 3 right now, as Crumry trying to work the back of Yari Brupatcher, now has the inside on Yari, and you can hear just how much he's having to let off. Staying in 6th gear also, so that might be a fuel-saving measure. Could also be that the lower revs through the corners are helping the back end of the car stay in line.
Well, you're not quite as high in the power band, so you're not gonna you're less likely to over torque the grip on the tires. That was sketchy.
Yeah, he got really close as Butch Davis tried to go from the outside to the inside. Ronnie Osmer now on the outside of 3 wide with Jeff Hollingsworth and Chris Samard. Osmer actually getting into the wall as the battle for the lead now starting to heat up, as here comes Grandy to the outside of Brett Beasley.
Grandy and Beasley still in lockstep as they work their way out of 3 and 4. Beasley with the advantage, the low line coming across the stripe, giving another lap to Beasley. Grandy still trying to make that outside line work, and Bush Davis almost gets into the wall on the front chute.
Yep, certainly did. Right behind Ronnie Osmer, who is now running behind Jeff Hollingsworth. Running in the third spot now is that number 97. Osmer does stick the wing to the outside of Hollingsworth now. Osmer got hard into the wall coming out of 4, and a big wreck up here at the front. Caution is out. Starts as Osmer pushes up way too high, and this one has taken a toll on the field.
Caught his teammate in that one as well.
Boy, there were a lot of drivers. Chris Samard, Paul Crumry we saw in that one as well. Bentley Glazer, I believe, also had a piece of it. Timothy Bates, there he is, mangled front suspension, no front wing on his number 6. I mean, we talk about it on Friday nights all the time. One person makes a mistake at the front of the pack, and it's going to hurt a lot of people, and no different in an Indy car in a pack. Once one mistake happens, it's all over.
You want to see some heads-up driving, go on board with Yari Brudpatcher. I put a GoPro on his helmet before we started.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be taking a look at this one here. Going to go from high above here on this first replay, as this all starts with Osmer getting too high coming out of turn 4. Beasley there. Oof. A couple of other guys just getting caught. Take a look now from Paul Crumry's point of view. There's the wreck happening, and just barely gets clipped. In the number 3 does Crumry. You had mentioned
Yari Brudpatcher.
Yeah, you mentioned Brudpatcher. Let's take a look and see what Brudpatcher saw. Well, he was on the brakes early, and all that smoke, and just does get around everything. Wow, what a drive by Brudpatcher.
Amazing heads-up driving by that young man.
Absolutely. We'll take a look. This is looking back at William Fletcher. As he just gets clipped. And that is race car done. Now, fast repair should save some of these guys as well. We saw the 48 of Jose Viguera around sideways in that as well, making his Alpha Series debut. Decent amount of cars were caught up in that one.
Quite a few. I'm looking at roughly half the field now a lap down, as Mike Grandy stayed out.
Yes, he did. It does look to be the case. Johnny Antonucci staying out as well, from what I can tell. Shane Loveridge in the 72 trying to get himself in line on the outside. There is Loveridge. Again, one of the Bravo Series call-ups, making his debut in the Alpha Series tonight. As we get closer to getting back to green flag racing here. Once again, coming up next week for the Alpha Series will be the Ardennes Grand Prix from Spa-Francorchamps.
It looks like they're waving a lot of guys that were involved in that wreck back around the pace car.
Does appear that to be the case. We just saw Loveridge go by. I believe that's Michael Bourne. Bentley Glazer now. So there has to be some sort of timing and scoring error that has been plaguing this session. We've seen it. We saw it during practice with guys dropping left and right. I mean, there has to be something up with the session at this point.
Yeah, about half the field got caught a lap down somehow.
So while laps are being given back, boy, I'm just looking at the schedule now. We may have a 3-day weekend this weekend, but the schedule gets full starting next week. 2, 4, 6, 8 races, 9 races, pardon me, in 6 days of racing. Next week, it is going to be a very full week of racing here on ESPN after a 3-day weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday off. As speaking of off, that is what the pace car is right now. Mike Grandy will set sail once again. Again, Grandy, the only one of the leaders that did not come into pit on that caution. We're back to green flag racing.
17 laps on his tires, too, so we're about to see what the difference between the haves and have-nots looks like after 17 laps of anger, because Grandy did take the pit under that first caution as Beasley working to his outside coming down the front chute, and they've got Butch Davis in tow.
Yes, they certainly do. Timothy Bates is back there as well, new front wing and all. There's a lot of guys needing to eat up that fast repair here early on in this race. Nate Siefker has moved himself up into the 8th position. It is where he qualified. Remember, he was in the back of the field earlier on, as low as 22nd in the field. And now with that caution flag, that wreck, and this pit stop here, he has moved himself up into the 7th position in front of teammate Chris Walker in the 23. Up front, Mike Grandy not showing too much wear here, even though it is very early yet in this run. Not showing too much wear on those tires. He currently sits in the lead. Brett Beasley hot on his tail.
Clean air's got a lot to do with that.
Yes.
He doesn't have anybody in front of him taking the air off his front wing, as here comes Butch Davis also on fresh tires, as they're looking to make it 3 wide going into turn 3.
Everybody in the field on the same set of tires. Johnny Antonucci running alone in the 19th position. The only other driver that did not pit under that caution flag on lap 30. As we start lap 39 here from Chicagoland. Top 5 are all in this group right here. Also, Jeffrey Roulette in the 66 now starting to get up into this group here.
Grandy, Beasley, Bates, Davis, Broadpatcher, Roulette, Siefker, Walker, Morganti, and Dan Brazington rounding out your top 10.
Brazington now battling with Joe Morganti in the number 10. Very nice looking scheme there on that 10 of Morganti, I must say. Flying the VSM colors. Behind these guys, Charles Woods in the 40. It's currently the next car for position. You're seeing Chris Samar, Jeff Hollingsworth, Ronnie Osmer all in this group. Paul Crumry is for position. The 77, the 97, the 55, the 28, those are all guys that are up towards the front. They are all a lap down right now. Carl Burke right now is the first car off of the lead lap right there, the number 53, going right under the camera. As we go back up to the front of the field here, Grandy and Beasley still battling side by side. Bates has jumped up into the 3rd position. Remember, Bates has not won a race since the series opener back at Auto Club last year.
And that was one hell of a finish, too.
Yeah, finish.
Yeah.
Made, what was it, the September iRacing Top 10 as the caution comes out here, and I believe, yep, there it is, the 53 of Carl Burke around, and Carl, I'll take full blame for that. Still just trying to get that Dallara righted and just cannot do it.
He's got a lot of rear suspension damage on that car.
Yeah, he does. See the rear wing flopping around on that number 53. We'll see what happened to him. Boy, just lost it right in the middle of the corner. Raul Alvarez in that number 9 just finished him off, and it doesn't appear to be too bad. It just looks like rear wing damage on the 53.
I'm seeing
Didn't see
suspension
him hit
damage.
anything. Well, you're seeing something I'm not, and I will take your word for it.
Yeah, that left rear is kind of flopping.
And Mike Grandy got what he needed. Early, quick caution.
And Carl Burke has put it on the hauler.
Yeah, that will do it for that. Bates, Davis, Rolette, Crumry, and Bogan decide to stay out. The rest of the leaders down here on pit road. See what happens there as Beasley cannot swipe the lead away from Grandy. Nate Seifker coming out just behind Yari Brupatcher, Chris Walker, Joe Morganti, Dan Brazington there as well. So as we re-rack this field after this pit stop, it's Timothy Bates, Butch Davis, Jeffrey Rolette, Paul Crumry, Jeffrey Bogan, the top 5. And then all of the drivers that came into pit just now on lap 43. So the gamble for Grandy certainly did pay off in that number 12. We didn't think it was advisable, but certainly worked out for him. He was able to keep the lead and got the quick caution to come in and get 4 tires.
Yeah, that was one of those. You're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You had to gamble it. It's better to do it early in the race like he did, and see what's going to happen. Which we found out that in clean air you're fine. Don't know what's going to happen in traffic yet, but
you don't necessarily want to know either.
No, especially with the way that the setup allegedly is. It's kind of a loosey-tighty, kind of like driving an old log wagon on old tires. But at least with clean air out in front of you, you're not bad.
Chris Simard in his pit box right now. Now, Simard is not under any threat here of losing position. Simard currently sitting in the 20th position, 1 lap down. After that accident on lap 30, Jeff Hollingsworth, Ronnie Osmer, William Fletcher are all currently 2 laps down. 21st, 22nd, 23rd, as once again there you see Shane Loveridge on the outside trying to get back into line.
And they just waved Hollingsworth, Fletcher, and Phillips around the pace car.
Yeah, just saw them flash on by. So now he is in a little bit of danger as far as his position goes, as there's Hollingsworth in the number 97. Will Fletcher just in front of him in the 28. Rocket Racing setups on the side pod air intakes. The series sponsors as well.
So Timmy Bates already having to burn his fast repairs. He got caught up in that wreck that took out about half the field. Was able to limp it back to the pits and stay on the lead lap. But Bates, Davis, Roulette, Crumry, and Jeff Bogan rounding out your top 5 as we are getting ready to put lap 46 in the books. Lights are still on the pace car as they're still trying to get guys back on the lead lap so that they can let them run this thing out full tilt boogie.
There goes Ronnie Osmer getting one of his laps back after the incident before. Deborah Carrier, father-in-law, is always watching. We know every single night. At least Dan Brazenton has one fan that we can all rely on, and that is the father-in-law.
Sorry.
Dan currently running in the 12th position right now in that number 29, and going all the way back to the season opener at Pocono. All important lap lead. Is that Voodoo Racing number 29 sits just outside the top 10. William Fletcher going back around, getting another lap back. Tony Phillips doing the same. So as we're getting guys back in order of where they are supposed to be, it looks like we are going to go green this time around here, as the lights are out on the iRacing safety car. The official safety car of iRacing. Go figure. It's the pace car.
Still no idea what that thing's supposed to be.
It's the iRacing safety car. As it tucks on off, green flag back in the air, just about quarter distance gone. Timothy Bates currently leading, and he got a great jump on Butch Davis in second place. Remember, the top 5 did not come into pit under this most recent caution.
As the top 5 are pretty strung out right now, as you got Bates, Davis, Roulette, Crumrye, and Bogan. Mike Grandy trying to reel in Jeff Bogan right now, all over his rear wing right now.
Yep, and it's going to be it does appear, at least in the first little bit of this race, that yes, multi-groove racing is certainly a thing here. These cars are certainly learning how to work it. These drivers are learning how to work it. But it does seem as though if you want to get a run, the outside line, if you want to maintain your position, the outside line is certainly where to go. But if you want to make a pass, you have to be on that inside, just the same way Brett Beasley got there on Mike Grandy, is able to get the position away.
Gary Brubhatcher slugging it out right now with, I believe that's...
It is.
Is that Seifker?
Yes, it is.
It's weird to see Seifker in an all-black car.
Yeah, it is actually. It's quite interesting. As Seifker now going for the position on Mike Grandy as well. This is, I guess, quote-unquote, effective race lead with the drivers up front on 13-lap more worn equipment, 13-lap less fuel. So we'll see that battle for the lead now as Butch Davis working the outside line on Timothy Bates. Paul Crumrye going to follow him through as well. So now Bates goes from first to third, about to lose that third position actually, to Jeffrey Bogan in the 21 on the outside line.
Crumrye with a great run on that outside line as well, trying to make that second lane work, as he does have Bogan in tow, and they've got a pack of angry wolves behind them.
Now Jeffrey Bogan has gotten around Timothy Bates. Where did all 3 of those guys pass Tim Bates?
On the inside.
No, it was the outside. Where did I say you needed to be in order to make a pass? On the inside.
Yeah.
It's what did Murray Walker say? It's not about making a fool of yourself. I'm not making a fool out of myself. I'm just making predictions that are immediately proven wrong. Something along those lines. But Roulette and Beasley almost got into it coming off of turn 2. So that broke me out of my rambling, and now there's Yari Brubhatcher sliding through turn 3. Back to calling the race, son.
And he has a lot of front-end damage on that car as well.
I'm not seeing necessarily what you're seeing, but
his right front wheel's not connected.
Slower. So we'll take a look now at what happened. We'll try to see what happened with Beasley and Brubhatcher both. here in just a second. Let's go up. This is Brett Beasley. You can see the battle he's having and what had happened had already happened here. And then there's Brupatcher sliding away. Let's go back up. This is a lap prior, unfortunately. So we'll get to see here what happened with Beasley and Roulette. There's Roulette in the 66 on the inside.
And Osmer just ate the turn 2 wall.
Yeah, all right, so we'll come back. We'll figure that out eventually. But here is Ronnie Osmer, and the caution is out. And that should be the end of Osmer's night, unfortunately, because he was, unfortunately, the catalyst for that first the big caution back on lap 30. And, yep, that car is junk.
Like he may have had some help.
Take a look and see. Osmer was battling around Tyler Bloom and Chris Walker. He's on the outside. Oh, and Walker had a big moment in the middle of the corner, and unfortunately, Osmer just an innocent bystander. So we'll ride on board with Walker, and you heard the back end start to kick out on the 23, and when he went to catch it, Osmer was right there.
Yeah, you hate to see that happen as we got wholesale pit stop happening again. And for the second time, Mike Grandy stayed out.
Worked so well for me the first time. Why change? As Grandy decides to stay out. And it will be Paul Crumry winning the race off. Oh, maybe not. Wow, I think that might have been Butch, actually, that won that race off of pit road. I mean, it would not have been that close, and we saw Butch had an issue getting into his pit box. And had it not been for that issue, would have been fine. So Mike Grandy once again decides to stay out. So he will retake the lead of this race. For the first time tonight, Tyler Bloom is up into the top 5 in that number 96 for Voodoo Racing. Running in the second position, Butch Davis, Paul Crumry, Jeffrey Bogan will complete the top 5 as Raul Alvarez in that old BAR Honda look-alike. Brings it down into pit road. A little bit of lucky strike on that car.
Sorry, I missed the question.
No, that wasn't a question. You're good. As working, I believe, our 6th caution of the evening here. We are past quarter distance here, working on lap 60 of 200 here tonight. We'd like to thank everyone who has made us a part of your evening here tonight on ESPN. You're watching the Windy City 300, round number 8 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season. As we will take this moment here as we are working under caution to give you guys a quick refresher on the standings coming into tonight's race. And Nate Siefker holds quite a nice little margin, a good 37-point margin over Chris Simard at the top of the standings. And that is quite a bit here in the just about at the halfway stage of this season. Again, Siefker, the champion of season 1. Winner of rounds 2, 3, and 4 here thus far this year, has done quite a fantastic job and has earned that points lead that he has. winner of rounds 1, 3, and 4. My bad. Certainly earned that points lead he's had. Samard having another very good season after the year he had last year. Jeff Hollingsworth and Bentley Glazer with a win this year in round 2 in his first season with the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. Jeffrey Roulette rounding out the top 5. And a lot of close battles there. Roulette, Bogan, Burke, Davis, Osmer, Beasley, Phillips, all right there as we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing. Tony, take it away.
Field working its way through the 3-4 complex. Grandy and Bloom, your top 2, the only 2 to actually stay out as the pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn. Grandy waits on it, holds the field down a little bit. Crumry sneaking up on the back of Butch Davis. They finally pull the trigger. Grandy's underway, and here comes Bloom on the high side.
Yeah, Bloom is going to get a lot of pressure, too, from Butch Davis in that 43. And Davis already up into the second position, trying to work on Mike Grandy now. Coming through turn 2 and onto the back straightaway has Paul Crumry in that number 3 Valvoline Dallara IR18 all over his rear wing. Now as they fan out through 3 and 4, it is still Grandy, Davis, and Crumry, the top 3, but Jeffrey Bogan now looking racy, and Timothy Bates right back in the hunt in the 6. Boy, that's an awesome shot. These guys running 3 abreast, the top 6, all right here in this row. My goodness, Bogan could not have given Crumry any less room there on that corner exit. Crumry goes to the inside. Timothy Bates there as well in that number 6. Bates rounding out the top 5, and this is starting to look closer to what we saw in the first 30 laps.
As Grandy and Davis still in lockstep coming through 3 and 4. Jeffrey Bogan using the slipstream right now, trying to save a little bit of fuel for the long haul, but it's definitely interesting to see what's going on with Grandy on the old tires, Davis on the new tires, and Grandy's still able to hold his own, especially with the clean air.
Certainly is. As take a look off the rear wing of that 43 of Butch Davis. You can see the line of cars behind him as Davis loses the second position to Jeffrey Bogan, who we now see out in front. And boy, Bogan just had a big moment as we flipped the camera around. That caused Davis to have a moment as well, but Jeffrey Bogan able to save it. And because nobody was on his outside quite when he had to save it, he's able to keep going.
Another 100 yards, Davis would have been in trouble, though.
Yeah,
but
an exact copy of what happened with Walker and Osborne just a minute ago.
Yeah, would have. And that's the thing you got to remember, too, is turns 1 and 2 get the sun all day long here at Chicagoland Speedway. As you see the shadows getting a little bit longer in 3 and 4. These guys are just flat getting it right now as Crumry looking to the outside of Davis coming through the front chute.
Once again, 3 abreast going into turn 1. And while you have a lot of signage boards out of turn 2, the advert boards, you have a lot more in turn 3, and those are casting shadows. We're simulating roughly just past 5 o'clock in the middle of July here for the sim tonight, and I think you saw exactly what I saw there as Crumry making a big, late, and aggressive move on Butch Davis going into the tri-oval.
Yeah, that was a big move that could have ended poorly, as Crumry with a great run down the back chute pulls alongside of Grandy as they go through 3 and 4. They almost touch. Yeah,
Grandy almost slid up the track going through turn 3, and it's going to be Crumry who does lead that lap, albeit just barely. Crumry does lead the lap. Butch Davis now having to worry about the guys behind him a little bit more than the guys in front of him, especially because look who's there, old number 1, Nate Siefker on the outside line trying to work his way into the top 5.
They were 3 wide for a second there going through 3 and 4, and Siefker with a good run on the outside of Bentley Glazer. Glazer trying to hold that low line. The question is as the tires start to wear out, how much longer can Glazier hold that low line? And the more important question is, how long can Mike Grandy hold on to this lead?
I agree with you there. I agree with you on all of that as we are 3 wide here for the race lead. Paul Crumry running in the middle. Grandy has to give it up on the inside, but I think the most important question that's on everybody's mind is, has Nate Siefker finally found that chiropractor? Yes, Nate Siefker actually has his head on straight this week.
Yeah, they sent an update patch earlier this week. And we're under
Caution's out.
caution.
I believe
Looks
it's
like-
Yari Brupatcher.
Yeah.
Shane Loveridge had an issue that did not trigger a caution just a lap ago. And we'll take a look right now and see what happened to both of those drivers. Here first is Loveridge. Coming out of turn 2, loses the back end. Now we've seen a couple of guys lose the back end out of turn 4. That one not nearly as dramatic. And now we'll see what happened to Brupatcher. Same thing, this time a little bit more dramatic.
He just lost it going into 1.
It'll be out of 2.
Well, it started going into 1. He finally lost it coming out of 2.
Well, we'll follow the rabbit on that one, as here he is coming out of turn 4. Oh, hits the wall hard coming out of turn 4. Might have done some suspension damage with him hitting the wall the way he did. And you're right, yeah, just has a big moment in the middle of 1 and 2. And then finally lost it at a 2. So he might have knocked the toe out of it or killed the suspension by hitting the wall in turn 4.
That's what it looks like. And we've got wholesale pit stops happening again.
Yes, we do, as Mike Grandy takes it into pit road. Paul Crumry going to be the winner off of pit road. Butch Davis, Tim Bates, Jeffrey Bogan, and Brett Beasley all deciding to stay out. So as those guys decide to stay out, we will step out here for just a moment. We are just shy of halfway here for the Windy City 300 here at Chicagoland. We'll be back here momentarily. You're watching the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series right here on ESPN. About to restart on lap 77 here for round number 8, the Windy City 300 here at Chicagoland Speedway for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. Frank Marchese and Tony Trapasso in the booth with you, as we always are, for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, as these guys line up to get back to green flag racing here. It is Butch Davis for FBR Motorsports, and then RDR, the next 3 positions behind him. Not a lot of friends, and Butch Davis realizes that, gets going immediately. We're back under green.
Got a great restart over Tim Bates. Bates with a pretty decent jump over Jeff Bogan, and then you're pretty stacked up behind them.
Yes, you are. Paul Crumry, first one out of pit road under that last set of caution, under that last caution flag. As already Mike Grandy is all over the outside. Boy, a big move by Mike Grandy coming out of turn 4. Had that momentum, said, I'm not letting off. Went right to the inside and takes the position away. So Mike Grandy started on pole tonight and has shown he has got one rocket ship under him.
Yeah, but he's got a uphill battle going right now as Davis and Bates slugging it out for the number 1 spot.
Yes, they are. As we take a look again here, this is the top 5 drivers and when they have come into pit. Beasley has made one more pit stop than anybody else around him, but is on the same set of tires as the other competitors in the top 4. Mike Grandy on 15-lap fresher tires, and same goes for everybody else around him. As RDR having quite a nice show here with the 669 and the 21 running second, third, and fourth.
Absolutely. As the team points starting to really tighten up right now between RDR, Voodoo, and VSM.
They absolutely are. Taking a look at the standings here, Voodoo Racing currently leading the team championship with 384 points. OGR sitting just a mere 5 points behind them, and RDR sitting 30 points behind Voodoo Racing. So a good finish here would mean a lot, as I believe that's Michael Bourne slow down on the bottom in turn 3 and 4. It is Michael Bourne in the number 19.
Definitely not the night he was hoping for.
Certainly not. One of the FBR drivers, and I think Yari Brupatcher has spun it around. Nope, there he comes into pit road. May have spun it on pit entry, but has it fine.
He's been struggling to get that car fixed ever since that wall brush coming off the floor.
Certainly has. As one FBR driver is slow into the pits, the other one is leading the race right now with a pack behind him, and that is one impressive pack that is currently sitting behind the pilot of the 43, Butch Davis. Davis does have one win in the history of this series, and that was the inaugural Indianapolis 500 last year, battling with Timothy Bates, who won the first ever race for Sim Racers Edge back at Auto Club. Jeffrey
yes, but
Bogan
if
has
you
not
remember,
won one.
who did Bates beat in that inaugural race?
I believe it was Michael Sturgill, if I remember correctly.
It was Sturgill and Davis.
Yes, it was. You're right. Davis was in it. And in the top 10 highlights, Bracington got the credit. As we continue on here, just shy of halfway. Bates not wanting to stick around behind that 43 too much longer. I think if he had fresher tires, he would be in the mix, certainly. But the man who has the freshest tires and is furthest up to the front is the current points leader right now, Nate Siefker, sitting right there in that black number 1, running in 5th. But Mike Grandy not letting him get too far away. Those two teammates for Voodoo Racing.
Grandy's no slouch when it comes to wheeling an open wheel race car, and these guys have raced around each other long enough. And don't look now, but guess who's back on the lead lap and in the hunt?
I would have to assume it's the man we're riding on board with right now, Jeff Hollingsworth.
True story.
There he is. Mike Grandy now on the inside. You can see him there in that black car on the inside line. Was ahead of Nate Siefker for a moment, now about to lose out to Jeff Hollingsworth. You can see him just there on the inside line in that number 12. Chris Simard there as well. No, there's a car spinning in the back. I believe it might be Will Fletcher.
Tyler Bloom.
Oh, yep, no, you're right. Tyler Bloom in pit road in that number 96. We just caught that as we were riding off the back of Hollingsworth's car. See what happened with Bloom. Racing with Joe Morganti, and those two just come together.
Now, Bloom got real lucky because it happened right at pit in.
Yep, it certainly. If you want to have a crash, that's certainly the best place to have it. So as we work, I believe our 8th caution of the evening, Butch Davis will lead the line in. Of the drivers, at least, that did not pit last caution, Nate Siefker will stay out, and he will lead his first lap of the evening. As Butch Davis leads the rest of them down.
All-important bonus point for Siefker. And if you take a look at the point standings right now, Siefker does have the most bonus points of any active driver.
He absolutely does. 24 bonus points. The next closest driver as far as bonus points is Butch Davis with +9. Now, Davis does not have the best differential because there are penalty points that are added up as well. So Siefker has a +21 average as far as the bonus points goes, as far as bonus and penalty points. I believe the best plus-minus average beyond that would go to Jeff Hollingsworth, who's +5.
Yes.
Well, Hollingsworth and Davis would be tied at +5.
Yes.
As we work yet another caution here, Siefker has come into pit lane this time, got the lap led, and now he will head to the back of the field. Still just south of halfway, working lap 90 of 100. I'm sorry, of 200, pardon me, at this point. As we continue on through. Deborah, thank you very much. We do appreciate it. We put a lot of effort and work into these races, and we do thank you for the kind words and support. And I know the series does as well. They love seeing stuff like that in these chats here. So we do thank you very much. And the series also thanks you for the support. And while we're talking about the series, coming up next again for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series will be the Ardennes Grand Prix from Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. This will be the second time, or no, actually the first time, that the series will head over to the Ardennes Forest, for which the GP is named. That'll be coming up on April 7th. April 14th will be the continuation of round number 6 of the series, the continuation and completion of the Miami Gardens 300 from the Homestead Miami Speedway. What was expected to be a week off has turned into a rain-out filler. Then it'll be the Irish Hills 300 from Michigan Speedway, 155 laps there on April 21st. April 28th, we will see the Field of Dreams 200 at Iowa Speedway. Then we will go to yet another road course. May 5th will be the British Grand Prix from the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Texas Motor Speedway the weekend after that, May 12th. May 19th will be the second annual Sim Racers Edge Indianapolis 500. A week off after that to enjoy the Memorial Day weekend and the actual Indy 500. On May 26th, June 2nd will be at the Milwaukee Mile, and then the season finale at Atlanta on June 9th. So quite a schedule coming up here for these guys as we continue on. Pace car about to duck off. Butch Davis leading the line. Jeffrey Bogan sits behind him. Green flag back in the air. We are nearly at halfway, working lap 92. Green flag back in the air. Already, and I think we're under caution again. Yes, we are. Johnny Antonucci with an off. Just coming out of the tri-oval. Didn't even make it out of the tri-oval, did Antonucci. We'll take a look and see what happened to the pilot of the 13. Sitting there closer towards the back of the field. There's Chris Walker, Nate Siefker right behind him. But it looked like the group in front of him just didn't go. And then he and Chris Walker have a netcode incident. I mean, that just looked all sorts of unfortunate for Antonucci. And we'll ride on board with Walker here on this replay. And yeah, it just looks like Fletcher, and I believe that was the 48 ahead of Fletcher, just did not go. And you can see the 13 and the 23 never touch. Tony, I know I've gone on a roll. Anything you'd like to add? Okay, so I think unfortunately we are going to be losing Tony here for the remainder of the evening. I had mentioned right at the top of the broadcast that Tony was not feeling all that great coming into tonight's race, and that has unfortunately caused him to bow out of the remainder of tonight's race. So it'll be Butch Davis, Jeffrey Bogan, Tim Bates, Brett Beasley, and Mike Grandy, the top five. A couple of guys getting wave arounds at this point. Nate Siefker at the back. Trying to find and see who is getting the wave arounds. I believe Raul Alvarez. Yep, there he is. Getting his lap back. Now, Raul Alvarez is still well away from being back on the lead lap in that number 9. So he appears to be getting several laps back here, it looks like. Alvarez currently running 11 laps down at the moment. Could possibly be 10 with the way he's slicing through this field. And yes, it will be 10 with the way he is slicing through the field here. We'll do at least 2 more laps under caution here. As again, it'll be Butch Davis, Jeffrey Bogan, Timothy Bates, Brett Beasley, and Mike Grandy Sr., the top 5. Paul Crumry, Jeff Hollingsworth, Chris Simard, Bentley Glazer, and Tony Phillips will round out the top 10 positions. As we work through still the first half of this race. Once again, we'd like to remind you that tonight's broadcast is sponsored by diecastnuts.com. Diecastnuts.com is a community site for people who love diecast. Whether you want to post your collection, view other members' collections, or buy or trade to add to your own collection, diecastnuts.com is the #1 place to go. Other automotive memorabilia is available as well at diecastnuts.com. Remember, that's nuts with a Z, diecastnuts.com. Or find them on Facebook by searching Diecast Nuts. Tonight's race is also sponsored by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is quickly becoming one of the leading setup builders for the iRacing community. If you need a proven race winner for your league or for your run to the official series championship, Rocket Racing Setups is where you need to go. They offer both dirt and asphalt setups along with setup adjustment guides, precise fuel sheets, and much, much more. With the ability to request setups and one-on-one coaching if you like to build your own setups, Rocket Racing Setups is really difficult to beat for the price. If you're ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level, head on over to rocketracingsetups.com today. Tonight's race also brought to you by the series sponsor, Turn Racing. Turn Racing is merging the gap between sim sports and motorsports. They provide top-flight sim racing equipment to help enhance your sim racing experience. Turn Racing also offers a full racing guide to help you better your skills and put you a step above the rest. Head on over to turnracing.com to take your sim racing equipment and ability to a professional level at an affordable price. So as the pace car gets set to duck on off, there he goes. We are back to green flag racing here, working lap 97 of 200 here at Chicagoland. Jeffrey Bogan behind him. And it's been very interesting to watch over the course of this race. The top of the field under these caution flags really getting spread out on the restarts as Paul Crumry working over Mike Randy Sr. now. Boy, this field is really spread out. I think this is the furthest spread out that we've seen this field here all night long. Just ahead of them, there is Tim Bates in the 6 on the inside. The 69, pardon me, there it is, I'll get it. Of Brett Beasley on the outside. Jeffrey Bogan now taking the race lead away from Butch Davis in the 43. Again, still RDR running now 1, 3, and 4 here tonight as FBR Motorsports entrant Butch Davis runs in second. Paul Crumry and Mike Grandy still battling it out for the 5th spot. These guys now not running as much in the pack as they were before. And still, this top 4 here running in quite a close group as Beasley working that extreme high line, running in the middle is Butch Davis, able to maintain his second position. Timothy Bates, Brett Beasley there as well. And now the pack's starting to close up as Mike Grandy Sr. is starting to get involved in that number 12. Grandy out of Fonda, New York. Now sitting in the top 5, just trying to get back up to the race lead, one that he has held for a vast majority of the first half of this race. And now we're starting to see that pack racing. And now we are also getting yet another caution. It'll be Raul Alvarez this time, losing it coming out of, I would have to assume, turn 4. Yep, it was. Oh, he just knocks that wall down coming out of turn 4, and that should do it for the pilot of the number 9. So I know I hate to do it again here, but we do have, or I thought I did for the moment, actually. Thought I had a replacement broadcast partner in the booth. And when we do, when I do get him in here, we'll take a quick break just to get on the same page, and then we'll rejoin. You won't miss a single lap of action here of the Windy City 300 as some drivers staying in, others staying out. It looks like Tim Bates is going to be the only one that comes in, everybody else staying out as we're getting now into the second half of this race. Track position proving to be quite a commodity here in this race as drivers in the back of the field now starting to take to pit road. Will Fletcher, Chris Walker, Johnny Antonucci, Tyler Bloom, all in pit road. Jose Vigara, in pit road. Just trying to work on getting our broadcast partner back in.
User was moved to your channel.
As I believe we have him now. Sir Byron Rodney, are you here?
Yes, Sir Byron Rodney has made it.
There we go. All right, so I will have a broadcast partner for the final 100 laps.
Yes, you will as
this
soon as I
race.
get an update done real quick.
All right. Okay, so
Yeah, I am on the road. I'm broadcasting from the front seat of an 18-wheeler, but I am parked, so no worries there.
honestly, I mean, not advisable, but it would have been a heck of a lot more impressive if you weren't parked.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't even be trying it at that point. But I did realize I needed to assign myself server group, priority speaker, all that good stuff here at, in the TeamSpeak. But I'm in now, so no biggie. Now I just got to wait for this update to finish, and I'll be able to join in and watch what's happening.
All right, so as we're getting closer now to the green flag coming out, we still have a couple of laps to go here before we get back to green flag racing. Coming up tomorrow night here on ESPN, the DOB Series will have their second doubleheader of the year here on ESPN. It'll be round number 8 for both the 410 Sprint Series and the Big Block Series at Eldora and Limaland. The 410 Series will be running at Eldora Speedway, and immediately after that, it'll be Limaland Raceway Park for the Big Block Modified Series. And if you missed those two races last week, boy, oh boy, they put on one heck of a show. I'm not necessarily a dirt guy, but I've caught the dirt bug now after watching some great racing with the DOB Series last week. Coming up on Friday night will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series. They will be at Daytona in the ARCA cars. They put on one heck of a race in the ARCA cars at Talladega about a month and a half ago and are expecting to do it again. Then we have a 3-day weekend, but after that, boy, oh boy, do we really hit the ground running with the MX-5 Pro Series, round number 4 of their season at Oulton Park at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Then the nightcap will be the Western States Racing League. They will run round 12 at Pocono for the Tuesday doubleheader, a Wednesday doubleheader for the first time in quite some time here on ESPN. The Endurance for Beginners Series, they will be running their first round of the season at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, followed very closely thereafter by round number 9 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Spa-Francorchamps. And then next Thursday, it will be the DOB Series once again. The 410s will be at Cedar Lake, and the big blocks will be at Eldora. And then, boy, we got a jam-packed weekend next week as well, which we'll bring to you in just a moment. But as these cars come off of turn 4 yet again, Bogan now gets the jump on the field. Mike Grandy sitting in second place. We are back to green flag racing here. Just over 90 laps to go here from Chicagoland. Once again, this field getting spread out, but I'm sure with the way we saw the last run go, it's not going to be long before these guys are all back up together. As Grandy already going for a move on Jeffrey Bogan on the outside line. Now there's the 43 of Butch Davis, getting about as close to the wall as he possibly could on entry. Brett Beasley there as well. Paul Crumry rounding out the top 5 in that number 3. Jeffrey Bogan still holding off Mike Grandy as those guys are 3 abreast going into turn 1 yet again. Bentley Glazer running in that 8th position. Just see him flash by right there in that number 87. Brett Beasley still trying to work on Paul Crumry to try to get him away. And once again, 3 wide now going into turn number 1. Boy, the battle for the lead has been absolutely phenomenal all race long as we come to 90 laps to go here of the 200 schedule. The contact in the wall goes Grandy. In the wall goes Butch Davis. Caution is out.
Big time damage on Grandy's car. Looked like they just had him, that's the definition of an accident. Both cars trying to occupy the exact same space on the track at the exact same time.
Boy,
wonder if the leader picked up any damage on that as well.
Boy, and that 43 of Butch Davis is absolutely mangled.
Well, I got in just in time to see that.
Yeah, you did. Certainly did. And we were watching that battle. Here's Butch Davis. This is him trying to roll it back into pit road, and you can just see how mangled that number 43 is. I mean, that is not a good car right there. Because once again, we'll take a look and see what happened, and already the accident's going. It looked like the 12 back end came around on the 12, and it's been a while since those guys have come in for tires. That might have played a factor in it as well. Go a little bit further back. This is turns 1 and 2. See Davis duck in behind the 12. Oh, no, he might have gotten into the 21 of Bogan on the inside and sent him up the track. We'll take a look at it on board. Yep, there was the contact. And then already him and Butch Davis, there's Butch up against the wall. Straight ahead. So now it is once again an RDR 1, 2, 3.
Hogan, Beasley, and Crumry. I'm looking at kind of going back through the history on the log here. Crumry's had himself a great little race going tonight.
Yeah, he absolutely has. Crumry has been right up at the front here pretty much the entirety of this night in that number 3, and that is a far cry from where we saw him back in round number 2 at Kentucky. A similar shaped track to this, a similar driving style, and boy, did Crumry have his hands full with that Dallara IR18. There, he certainly has got it figured out and under control here. Currently running in the 8th position, first of the drivers on the freshest tires. So as we get ready for yet another restart, it'll be Jeffrey Bogan, Brett Beasley.
And I believe Crumry's OGR, not an RDR car, isn't he?
Who is that?
Crumry, isn't he a
Yes.
OGR car?
Yes, Crumry is OGR, yes.
For your top 2, RDR, OGR representing with Crumry.
As we're just going to run through that top 5 here really quick. Jeffrey Bogan, Brett Beasley, Tim Bates, William Fletcher, and series debutant here tonight, Jose Viguera. In that 48, he was the winner of the Murray Walker Memorial Grand Prix at Silverstone, the final race of the Sim Racers Edge Bravo Series that took place last Saturday night, or 2 Saturdays ago, rather. And with the Bravo Series being put on hold, all drivers that were not, well, that were running in the Bravo Series that were not active in the Alpha Series were given the invitation to come up. Vigera took the invitation, running in 5th position right now. Shane Loveridge, another one of those drivers that took the invitation, currently running in the 19th position in the number 72, has had a solid night of his own, has had a couple of issues, but nothing too dramatic. And Leonardo Elijah, another one of the new names coming into the series, making his debut tonight. He is running in 28th position, DNF'd back on lap 11 of this race here tonight. So we will get back now to green flag racing as Jeffrey Bogan once again will have the button. Here he goes. Back to green flag racing here, working lap 115 of 200. And once again, the front two scamper away, leaving a pack in their wake.
Heck of a jump by Bogan on that start. Beasley not letting him get away, but wow, what a gap did they open up to third and fourth place.
Absolutely, and Brett Beasley now going back for that race lead. Remember, Beasley had led a vast majority of the early portion of this race, now getting right back up in it. Yes, it is. It looks like Johnny Antonucci. Oh, there's a big one here. That's Antonucci. That's Chris Walker's involved. Possibly Shane Loveridge as well. There's Loveridge in the 71. I think this is the third time I've done that tonight now. As we'll take a look and see what happened here. We saw a parking lot in turn 4. Here's Antonucci. And oh, something happened to Chris Walker up ahead of these guys. And unfortunately for Antonucci, just could not get around him. We'll see what happened now. We'll try to see what happened with Walker. There he is racing with Bloom. Gets into the wall coming out of 2. Stays in the wall. And then just tries to stay in the wall. Thought he was clear. And boy, oh boy, the 13 and the 9 both hit him incredibly hard.
This is one of those thank God it's a simulator moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't look like Loveridge hit anything. It just looks as though he had stopped. Let's take a look at this on board of Raul Alvarez. You can see Walker in the wall up there, comes down in front and just has nowhere to go. In that number 9.
Well, testament to iRacing's new damage model. Parts and pieces go flying.
Yep, absolutely. And we saw in the YouTube chat there that while we praise the damage model for giving us dramatic effects such as that, Kevin O'Brien, however, is not praising the damage model because apparently it was the fault in the damage model that caused him the race.
Well, that was kind of a heaven sent for guys like Butch Davis. Back to 1 lap down. Chris Walker 2 laps down after that damage, but that quick caution was a heaven sent for Butch Davis. He's got one of his laps back, and he's the sole car 1 lap down. He'll be the beneficiary of a waiver run next time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we've had a lot of those quick cautions come out here tonight. As that one by far was the most violent of the cautions that we have seen here tonight. We did have the big wreck on lap 30 that took out a lot of the lead cars, that forced them into their fast repairs. But beyond that, it has been single car spins, rather uneventful incidents, and That right there completely changed that, as that was a hard hit for everybody involved.
I was paying attention to the pre-race chatter on social media for Sim Races Edge. The setup tonight, they hit on something as the admins that get together and the drivers that get together all week long. They go through practices and they come up with a setup for these cars that's drivable and racy for everybody. And they said this one is going to be a driver's setup, guys. Pay attention to your weight jacker, because that car is going to get loose as that fuel winds down.
Yep, that's what we were told by Nate when he came in just prior to us going on air, was that this was going to be a very loose race car when the tires and fuel got light.
Am I reading this right? Is the 48 now pacing? Nope, he's not. I have to scroll. New computer, on the road, learning things. I love it.
Yeah, well, the things we learn. As Tony had mentioned that he was not feeling all that well at the start of the broadcast. Tried to give him the out. Didn't want to take it until he absolutely had to.
Well, our best, our prayers and our best wishes go out to him. We'll give you an update as soon as we know.
Absolutely. As lights are out on the pace car, it'll be Brett Beasley once again leading this field down. Beasley has gotten a great jump on these restarts when he's had control. Does the same thing again. Does look like Bogan was with him, though, as still RDR having a great showing here tonight. 1, 2, and 3 with their drivers getting out and away, but Bates has Fletcher all over him in the 28.
Yeah, 28 moving along. He's worked himself underneath Bates. Got that inside line. Can he hold it down there? That's the question. Outside momentum carries Bates around.
It certainly does. We look a little bit further back through this field as the top four start to bunch back up, and Tyler Bloom and the 3 of Crumrye getting very close. Coming out of turn 2, Chris Samard getting into this battle as well in the 77. Bentley Glazer there as well. We're seeing a lot of 4s working with each other. The top 4 now from 6th through 9th. Nate Siefker also at the back of this battle in the number 1.
Yeah, if you don't see that number 1 car up there in the very front, you know it's a challenging race going on when Siefker's rolling back in the pack. But, knowing the mentality of Siefker and the mentality of guys like Samard and Tyler Bloom, they might just not be pushing the issue, staying in contact with the leaders so they can make their money moves towards the end of the race. We got a long way to go yet.
Yeah, we certainly do, as Nate Siefker's only had 1 lap led here tonight, and that was under caution as we go back to the race lead, as Will Fletcher has certainly picked up quite a bit, as he is now on the inside of Jeffrey Bogan battling for the 2nd position. Trying to break up that RDR dominance is a VSM rider. In that
He's going to get it done.
Yes, he certainly is. He's going to get that position on Bogan. Now he's going to set his sights towards Brett Beasley in front of him. Jose Vergara in the 48 has now worked himself up into this battle, and Chris Samard and Paul Crumrye aren't that far off of it either.
No, the lead, that last green flag start, we saw the top 2 take off like they were glued together and leave everyone behind saying, see you boys, catch me if you can. But no, we're staying packed up as these guys are now searching for grip on the track. It looks like that bottom lane's working for them on these pressure tires after they've done their pit cycles, but you got to wonder how long that's going to last.
There is a mixed bag as far as who is on what tire up here in the top 5. Oh, pardon me, wrong graphic. There it is. There we go. That's the one we're looking for. Leader and 4th position Bogan right now, as this battle for the lead is starting to get really intense as Bates jumps up into the 2nd position. Beasley and Bogan are on tires from lap 88, so almost 30 lap old tires for the race leader and the driver in 4th. Lap 103 was the last time Bates and Fletcher came in. Crumrye, the most recent to come in, back on lap 111. So there's certainly a mixed bag as far as grip and tire strategy and fuel strategy, for that matter, up here in the top 5.
I've got my eyes on your leader, Brett Beasley. He looks like he's found something on the lower side of this track, because everyone has tried that high side to get around him, and they just can't quite find the grip and the dirty air behind him on that low side.
And you certainly, I mean, the thought of it is, oh, well, this is the same old stuff. It's a bottom feeder. No, this is a customized setup here, and this setup has worked. We've seen 3-wide racing. We've seen side-by-side racing. We've seen guys able to make moves on that outside line. It's the advantage of having clean air in front that's keeping Beasley up front. And boy, Bates goes from the outside to the inside coming out of turn 2, trying to make the move, and Bates is now going to take that inside away from Beasley as boys Samard and Bogan come very close in the middle of 3 and 4.
Oh, Bates
Yeah,
looks
Bates.
like he lost it. There's a little bit of net code. Bates goes for a spin, cautions back out.
Yes, it is. Oh, and he gets Jeffrey Roulette as well.
Car's trying to avoid just not being able to, as Bates is trying to lock it down. Just momentum's keeping him moving on that track. We're back under caution.
Boy, and that started coming out of turn 4 for Bates. He might have clipped the apron going into turn 3. Now we're going to go back to 3 here. This is when he's making his move. He might clip the apron here. Boy, almost did it the first time. Definitely did it the second time. Tried to corral the car. And wow, that was egregious net code there. That was, boy, oh boy, that was horrific.
Oh, Bates just now, if you go back to live, Bates trying to work it back to the pit lane, rolls back on top of another driver.
Yeah, we're going to see that now. We saw the aftermath of it. Here's Bates. Onto the back of your leader, Brett Beasley. Wow. So there's a turn of events.
There's going to be a little bit of discussion about that one. Looks like I'm not going to say that this is what happened, but it looked like he aimed for the leader for another reason.
I couldn't imagine. Who the heck was that? Was that Tim? That was Tony Phillips. What issue did Tony Phillips have on pit road? Here comes Phil. Oh, he's lost it already. What in the world?
Tony Phillips is coming in with damage on that on the left front.
Yeah, and you could
Aims
see
it for his pit stall, and it just loops on him.
Not quite sure what his left front tire is doing.
Well, I'm going back to see if I can find what happened to his left front tire.
Oh boy, that's.
And I have found what happened to his left front tire as he got up in the wall.
Well, here he is. Here he is coming out of 4. Coming out of 2. And that's just.
Oh, he caught a piece of a slower car that was trying to avoid the wreck. That, just bad luck for Tony Phillips right there.
Well, let's go back a little bit further here to see exactly what happened with Phillips there. So he's already caught the wreck there, and his just glitch away. So while Phillips is getting his fast repair, Brett Beasley, I'm sure, is not all that entertained with his teammate in the number 6. Now I know we're going back quite a bit here, but we're going to go back again here and see from Bates' perspective what he could be so upset about, because from what we saw, or at least from what I saw, the racing didn't look bad. Beasley didn't pinch him down. There's a lane worth of room between the two.
Oh, wouldn't I pay to be a fly on the wall in that team chat?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That just looked to me like Bates gotten loose on the inside. He had plenty of room. And we're going to stick with this now because we know what's going to happen here as Bates is going to come around and essentially wait for the race leader. How he's driving that mangled number 6, I don't know. There goes Beasley. And you can see him start to gas it up. On board with Bates and just I mean, from in-car, I don't think, you know what, I'll give Bates the benefit of the doubt there. I don't think that was intentional. Because if we just saw the onboard replay of what happened between him, and Bates is right hand down, just trying to keep that car straight, and he has that wheel turned to the left to try to stay off. I think he may have put just too much power down. I don't think that had any malicious intent to it now after seeing that replay.
Well, the field's lined up behind the pace car. Pace car leading them around. Single file restarts here at Chicagoland. Pace car takes that hard left turn to pit lane. Brett Beasley has command of the field. Don't look now, but the beneficiary of all of that, Paul Crumry, rolling second place, followed by Fletcher and Samard, rounding up the top 5. I mean, Nate Seifert.
Absolutely, and Jeffrey Bogan also falling back quite a bit, fell down to the 6th position. Did Jeffrey Bogan in the 21. So what was an RDR 123 is now a 1, 6, and 19. As we work, about to begin lap number 136. Top 5 now have gotten away. Brett Beasley with Paul Crumry all over him. Will Fletcher, Chris Samard, and Nate Seifker up in this top battle.
Working lap 136 of 200 here. About 60-something laps to go, and if they're not careful, they're going to run across. Some time issues as the official race is clocked for 2.5 hours.
Now we have had this issue before. As boy, Crumry and Beasley both getting really close down to turn 3. And Byron, you would be able to tell me what the time is because again, you said 2.5 hours. If this race continues,
we are at 1:45 of 2.5. 45 minutes left to settle this thing out with 60-something laps to go. If we can stay green for a long run, we're going to be fine. We catch too many of those cautions, we might run into a time issue as the front is just getting 3 wide. They're slugging it out. These guys have got their foot on the loud pedal saying, I got to go.
We did see the time issue come into effect with the Western States Racing League last season at Texas. You would be able to tell this better than I will. It's the race leader's time. Once that hits 2:30, then the race is called. It's not when the session time hits 2:30. It's when the race leader's time hits 2:30. So we will be watching that. We still have about 45 minutes to go before we get to that range. And if, Byron, as you said, if we stay green, getting to that 45 minutes is not going to be an issue.
No, not an issue at all. These guys are hauling the mail. 25.5 seconds is what they're doing to get around this 1.5-mile track here at Chicagoland. Oh, man, the front 3 are just slugging it out, and don't look now. Who's just joined that for a 3-wide dance for the top spot? Nate Seifker.
Yep, Seifker on the outside. You can see him and Crumry just barely riding off the back end of Brett Beasley. And boy, Seifker got shot out of a cannon coming out of turn 2. Gets to that outside line. It's been quite a long drought since Nate Seifker has actually won a race. You have to go all the way back to round number 4 of the season, back at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, to find the last time Seifker has actually won a race. So it has been just under a calendar month since Nate Seeker has seen victory lane. And while that might not seem all that unusual for Nate in this series, it certainly is unusual.
Yeah, and I'm looking at a great three-way battle. I mean, they have still not settled it out for the top spot. Chris Samard, he's shoved his nose in there. Will Fletcher's not letting him get away whatsoever. And don't look now, but here comes Hollingsworth. He's slowly but surely bringing himself up to the front.
Crumry and Seifker getting incredibly close.
Thank God
going
no net
into
code
turn
there.
3. Yeah, exactly. That would have been full-on big wreck. Now, we've already seen one big one back at lap 30. Thanks to cars getting together, as Crumry now will force Beasley off of that inside lane. Paul Crumry in the 3 takes the lead. Beasley now will lose all momentum, and that will give Nate Seifker the second position. Samard and Fletcher right there. Fletcher now going for third on the inside of Beasley.
Yeah, these guys seem to have found if they can get their nose into some clean air on the bottom of the track, these cars are hooked up down there. But it's a matter of finding that clean air. As you can see, everyone just darting around looking for, to get that downforce on that front wing so they can make that turn in. And it seems to be working. I've watched this lead swap a couple of times already.
All of these drivers last came into pit on lap 131, so no tire advantage here in this top group. The most recent driver to come into pit was Shane Loveridge, who's back in the 14th position. He came in on lap 133. So everybody here on the same tire, as Loveridge is right at the back of this group here. He's got Butch Davis right in front of him. Davis still trying to recover from that incident he had earlier on with Mike Grandy.
Yeah, Davis back on the lead lap. Jose Vergara way backpedaled to 12th place. But I'm taking a look. Look who's cracked the top 10, a name I haven't seen in Sim Racer's Edge for a good long while, and that's the number 10 car of Joe Morganti rolling in 9th position.
Absolutely right. Morganti has had a couple of issues here tonight. Nothing that's kept him out of it. Is a little bit of contact there between him and Jeffrey Bogan. And it appears as though the wonderful iRacing Sim collision detection and damage model have not affected those two. They keep going.
Well, from my perspective, it looked like one lost a tire and the tire magically appeared. iRacing said, you know what? Here's a mulligan for you.
Exactly right. We saw that all last year as well with these guys. As now look at Jeff Hollingsworth slicing his way through up into the 3rd position now, getting under the 77 of Chris Samard. This is the first time we've seen guys like Hollingsworth and Samard up here since that big wreck on lap 30. It's taken them 120 laps to get right back to where they were prior to the incident.
Well, I've raced with Hollingsworth and Samard many a time, and I can tell you, they quietly, under the radar, just picked off the field one by one. They will sit in the back of the field and just methodically work their way to the front so they can be there when it counts, as we are 50 laps from the end of this thing.
Yes, we are. We are working with 50 laps to go. We're riding on the back of Nate Seifker's number 1, who's currently in the middle of this 3 abreast battle here for the race lead. Jeff Hollingsworth right there. This is by far and away the longest green flag run we have had thus far here tonight. This huge group here of about 10 cars. It's looking like a super speedway pack up here with the way these guys are running. Is Seifker now currently leading this battle. He takes the lead in the middle lane away from Paul Crumry. However, Hollingsworth not giving it up, and Crumry not giving it up either.
No, they're just going to hold that 3-wide procession down there. Everyone behind them. Whoa, watch Hollingsworth make that bold move to the bottom to get onto the back of Crumry. Seeker still holding that middle lane. These guys are searching for a way to get around, and then the whole rest of the pack is caught up with them, and they're all 3 wide just looking for a spot to make a move, knowing that if they make too aggressive a move, their night could be over.
We had missed something, unfortunately, and that was Paul Crumry going for a spin through turns 1 and 2. And unfortunately, I was looking at the timing and scoring monitor, and yep, Crumry just lost it completely coming off of turn 2, and I believe Ronnie Osmer has also had an issue. Charles Woods hard into the wall, Charles Woods, and that will bring out the caution.
Yeah, caution didn't come out for Crumry, but for Charles Woods, yes,
Joe
it did.
Morganti's down on the back straightaway as well in the 10.
See if I can go back and see what happened with Charlie Woods.
Boy, there was a lot that happened. Apparently, Butch Davis had an issue as well. As I had mentioned, this was the longest run that these guys had had on a set of tires all race long. As far as consecutive green flag laps. And unfortunately, we missed it with Crumry. So here's what happened with Paul Crumry once again. Crumry in the lead of the race, and off he goes. He doesn't touch anything as the back end comes around on him. Then it's Ronnie Osmer has an issue. Turns 1 and 2 again. Osmer losing it on his own. Hits the wall. That should be night over for him. Then it's Charles Woods and Joe Morganti, Dan Brazington in it as well. And there's Butch Davis. Wow, Butch Davis took a ride.
Yes, he did. Dan Brazington, he took a heck. It looked like it all started with Dan. He got loose coming off the corner. Car twitched. He tried to recover it, and just nobody had anywhere to go.
There's the ride that Butch Davis took. Riding on board with him, and there you see there's Charles Woods, there's Joe Morganti sitting there as well. We'll take a look from over top with Dan Brazington. Brazington's the black and orange car on the outside line. There's Morganti. Boy, Morganti really wiggled there in the middle of the corner. And then just Woods and Davis had absolutely nowhere to go. Morganti as well. I mean, that was a lot. A lot to happen there. And again, the longest green flag run these guys have done all night long. And boy, it really showed with how many guys got caught out all at the same time in the same part of the racetrack. As Tony had mentioned earlier on, turns 1 and 2 get sun all day long on this racetrack, and we're simulating just past 6 o'clock p.m. in the middle of July. That
track temperature currently 87 degrees. Yeah, I can see it being a little hot and slick.
And with the slick setup as a base, I mean, you need to really know what this car is going to do if you want to make a genuine move here.
Cars are racy, but boy, when they get twitchy, look out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we do appreciate. We know this has been a long one. Race time is just hovering around 2 hours. We know this is a long one here tonight, folks.
1:52, hour 52 on the leader right now.
Yep.
So we've got 38 minutes to settle this thing out over what? The next?
Just
wow.
under,
30
just under 40 laps, or just over 40 laps to go. And for those of you who have stuck with us both on YouTube and on Twitch as well, we do appreciate it. This is not representative of what this series has done all season long. These guys have put on some great action-packed racing all year long, and tonight, by far and away, is certainly an outlier as to how this series usually runs.
Well, you get this many cars. We had. Let's go into a little history here. They have a Bravo series. The Bravo series shut down. Those drivers came over here. I'm looking. You put 29 entries on this track. at Chicago, a mile and a half. Now, mile and a halves with this Indy car are not the most friendly thing on the planet. You're going to see some cautions.
To be fair, too, as you had mentioned, the Bravo entries, to be fair to the guys who were the Bravo entries, Vergara has had a very good race. He's running up in the 7th position right now in that number 48. Shade Loveridge has been involved in a couple of issues tonight, none of them of his own making. And Leonardo Elijah called it quits on lap 11. So it has not been the fault of the drivers that have come up from the Bravo series as we get set to go back to green flag racing here. Going to be working lap 159 of lap 200. So 62 laps to go, or 42 laps to go, pardon me. We're back to green flag racing. Jeff Hollingsworth for the first time tonight in the lead of this thing.
Yep, and he did not have any communication with Nate Seeker. You could tell because he got away. But, wow, look at the charge that Nate got in that slipstream. Nate Seeker to the bottom line. Nate Seeker's going to put that car in the wind, take that top spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate Seeker, winner of round 1 at Pocono, round 3 at Monza, and round 4 at Gateway this year, has been on a slump ever since. It's about four or 5 weeks that have gone by since he has seen Victory Lane, and most surprisingly, 2 road courses in that time that he has not taken victory at, as Hollingsworth on that outside lane is able to retake that lead. Look at Brett Beasley showing the power of that number 69, Delara IR18, being able to power past Nate Seefer on the outside line to take over that second position. Chris Samard trying to and does do the same thing, and that's big for Samard as well, trying to close down that points gap to the 1.
Wonder what happened with Seeker because take a look now. William Fletcher's right on his tail. Looks like Williams going in that lower line. Williams got a shot at taking another spot from Seeker.
Fletcher did very, very good at the Bravo Series race at Kentucky. Again, a very similar track and style to this. A little bit wider, and turn 3 is banked a little bit more here than it is there. But still had a very good run there, and Seefer just continues to fall back now, falling back to 7th. He either is not a fan of this car on new tires, or he is struggling with some sort of issue with that number 1 right now, because you're right. He was right there charging for the race lead and now is falling back to 7th. Speaking of the race lead, Brett Beasley has now taken that from Jeff Hollingsworth, and Will Fletcher on the outside, who we were just talking about now, trying to take it from Beasley.
Yeah, and I'm watching Nate Seeker. It's like his car's got a parachute on it because Jeffrey Bogan's gotten around him now. Tyler Bloom is the next one.
Crumry around again. Caution.
Caution out as Crumry tries to lock it down. Looks like he's going to get it locked down, back down onto the apron. Everyone should get by without incident. But, what a heartbreak for Crumry. But I'm wondering what happened with the number 1 car, Seeker.
And that was exactly why Tony had mentioned it during the warm-up session. These drivers were told pre-race that the apron in the tri-oval was off limits tonight, and Crumry just showed you exactly why as he spins out and causes another caution here.
That apron doesn't look like it's, that much of a difference in banking. Trust me, it is. You get those left side tires down below that white line, all of a sudden the whole aerodynamics of the car is upset because now you've got a lot more air going under into the belly of the car, and the wings on the top can't do their job. You're going to lighten up that rear end, and that back end's going to do what we call a loose condition. That's where the back end wants to swap ends with the front end. So, tight, you hit the wall with the front of your car. Loose, you hit it with the back of your car.
When you saw it there in that replay, it looked like the 48 of Vergara wanted to go down there, then remembered the rule. Crumry did go down there and then did not come straight back up and did exactly what you said. He got a lot of air under that car by straddling the line, and that sent him right around. As Jeff Hollingsworth, Nate Seefer, Vergara, Bogan, Crumry, Bloom, all in pit road. The top 3 deciding to stay out, only 10 laps difference on the tires for these guys. And what we are going to do here is we are going to just step away momentarily just to reset and try to compose ourselves. We are now getting to a situation here in this race where the time limit is starting to become a real thing. We still have 35 laps to go and 30 minutes remaining to get this race into its full 200 lap distance. So while we try to compose ourselves to bring you the final 30 plus laps, we will take a quick break and be right back. You're watching the Windy City 300 here from Chicagoland. We welcome you back to the Windy City 300 here, round number 8 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season, getting set to go back to green flag racing here with 33 laps to go. Pace car is off, green flag is in the air. Will Fletcher leading them down, leaves the pack jumbled up, and then takes off. A big move by Nate Siefker, getting to the outside of the 48 just before the line. We are back to green flag racing.
Wow, Will Fletcher held the field down to the last possible instant and then hit the loud pedal and took off. But that just accordioned the whole field, gave Will Fletcher a shot out to the front. But don't look now. Chris Samard's got that lower line. He's got the lead. He sniffed it out and says, I'm out of here, guys.
Absolutely. Chris Samard has jumped out to that race lead. Now, once again, there is a disparity as to who pit when. The top 3 drivers all last came into pit on lap 155. The drivers behind the top 3 all came into pit on lap 165. So there is a disparity between the last time these guys came into pit as we now hit 30 laps to go. Will Fletcher trying extremely hard on that outside line, but here comes the series debutant, Jose Viguera in the 48 on the inside, trying to battle off and trying to fend off Brett Beasley as he goes for an attack on Will Fletcher.
I'm starting to wonder if these guys are aware of the time constraint that they might be getting under, because if they are, they're going to start throwing haymakers now instead of normally hitting the scramble button with like 10 to go.
But there still is time, however. We had mentioned there's just under a half hour now before we hit a time limit here, and we have less than 30 laps to go at this point. So unless we hit like 2, maybe 3 cautions, there's still plenty of time to go here to get this race to its full 200 lap distance. As Simard now still working that lead, taking the high lane as Will Fletcher goes to the inside. The 28 for VSM will take the lead.
It looks like that bottom lane is where you want to be to get around to get the position. But it doesn't look like you can hold it down there lap after lap, and it looks like the guys are having to drift up to cool the tires to maybe get a little bit more bite. We'll have to find out about that in post-race.
It is showing all race long, as I had mentioned before, the outside line appears to be where you want to be to get a run, but the outside line is where you want to be to make a pass, and just as we had mentioned, Vergara, he is spinning down on the inside, spinning out of the second place in line on the inside as the 48 now goes for the ride. We caught that one, unfortunately for him. Fletcher still in the race lead, Simard, and now Beasley to the inside.
Green flag stays out. Caution does not come out for Vergara, which is a heartbreak. He is going to lose some valuable track position, lose some laps on that. If he goes 1 lap down, he'll be the only car 1 lap down, as Morganti is first car laps down at 2 down.
Joe Morganti running in the 11th position. Only the top 10 remain on the lead lap, and a vast majority of them are right there on your screen, as the 28 of Will Fletcher has the 69 of Brett Beasley battling him for the race lead. You saw there flash a slow car up at the front of these guys. You just saw him flash there under your screen. I believe that might be Vergara. Yep, it was right there in that 48. And these guys have been racing like this the entire race. Boy, it looked like that 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth had a little bit of a wiggle in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yeah, having a little bit of a wiggle in the middle of this pack is not a fun feeling. Let me tell you, these guys are driving for all their worth. They know we're getting down to the closing stages of this thing, as we are under 25 to go.
We've seen it already here tonight. Remember back to lap 29, that big wreck that was caused between Ronnie Osmer and Jeff Hollingsworth, and it took a whole bunch of guys out, guys that are just now recovering from that wreck with 23 laps to go now, coming to 22. Here comes Brett Beasley to the line, 22 laps to go. Will Fletcher in second. Those two have broken away. It's Jeff Hollingsworth and Nate Siefker battling for the third and final position on the podium, but Chris Simard not letting them get away. These guys currently, right now, sitting at 1, 2, and 3 in the point standings, racing third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, Vergara not taking it pit side, got back out on the track after his spin. He is sitting right in front of your leader. Your leader going around him or trying to go around him on the high side. But Vergara, still being on the lead lap, has no incentive to give up that position, trying to stay there as Beasley gets the nose underneath him. It looks like Beasley's going to go around him, put him 1 lap down.
He's hoping for that caution as Will Fletcher has just completely gotten out of it. As Fletcher now will lose the second position. He will lose third now, as he must have had a big slide coming through turn 3 and 4 to break that momentum that he had. Siefker now running in the second position in that number 1. He's going to fly around the outside, and that's the Nate Siefker we thought we had seen before he had fallen back. Still, Jose Vergara trying to lead it, and boy, him and Siefker get into it. Both Siefker and Beasley bounce off each other. Siefker gets the lead out of it. Beasley's going to fall to fourth.
Beasley can't be very happy.
Oh, and
right
Crum rides
moment.
around. Caution is out, and that is the caution that Vergara was fighting so hard to get.
With all that battling going on, by the looks of it, looks like Vergara stayed on the lead lap, did not go a lap down.
He absolutely did, and that is why you fight. especially in a race like this when you know a caution is only about a corner away. And we'll see what happened here with Paul Crumry. As it looked like him and Samard got into it on corner entry in turn 1, and that was all she wrote for the 3.
Open wheel, a fended car has got a little bit of give when you get up into the side like they did right there. But an open wheel car, nah. You get those wheels touched, you're going to get someone snap around violently like you just saw with Crumry.
Let's take a look at this lap from Nate Seefer. You just saw him pass Will Fletcher there. Watch the 69 and the 48 racing here. Again, the 48 trying to stay on the lead lap. Seefer gets a whale of a run on the outside. I believe him and Beasley are going to make contact as Seefer tries to get around the 48. Yep, there they go, bouncing off each other. Seefer and the 48 go bouncing off of each other as well. And then it's right around here the caution comes out. See the caution light switch at some point right around now. And
Vergara managed to keep it on the tail end of the lead lap. So he's able to get it pit side, get some service, fresh rubber on that thing, and ready to go again as we're coming to what? We're
under 20 to go. Yeah. Bentley Glazer had an issue that forced him to jump to pit road. Now, I'm not sure whether or not he just pulled over and stopped or what have you, and I think that is exactly what's happened with the driver of the 87. He has pulled over and stopped, has Bentley Glazer. So it is Nate Seefer, William Fletcher, Jeff Hollingsworth, Chris Samard, and Jeffrey Bogan, the top 5 at the moment. And there's not a lot of racing left. Give it about 5 laps for these guys to get back into rhythm and get back into line and get back into that group. We might not be done with the cautions, unfortunately.
Well, from what we saw earlier, Seefer, he had a great start. And then we watched him like he had a parachute on the back of his car just start to get overhauled by the field. I'm wondering if Seefer hasn't got his car just dialed into where he needs those tires warmed up and the air pressures to come up before he's able to make what he calls money moves.
And that was the first lap he had led under anger all race long. The only lap he had led prior to this was back prior to the quarter distance mark, staying out under caution and then coming into pit the next lap. So again, Seefer, Fletcher, Hollingsworth, Samard, and Bogan. The top 5, Woods, Bloom, Beasley, Vergara, and Morganti. The top 10.
15 to go around here, 15 laps to go. If we can get 5 to 10 laps of green flag racing, we're going to squeeze this in right under the time limit as the leader crosses the line. That'll give me a time update. Leader crosses the line. 2:12 has gone by on a 2:30 clock.
So we've got just over 15 minutes to get this race in, and the only saving grace for this race as far as a time limit goes is there are no green-white checkers in this series. So we are going to lap 200, and whether or not this race ends under green or under caution, it does not matter. We are going to lap 200.
Pace car's got the field in tow. Seefer's got control of the field. Let's see what kind of jump he can get. William Fletcher right on his tail. And don't look now. That third place car, to me, is the dark horse just sitting there waiting for those front 2 to mess up and just snarl the victory right away from him and Jeff Hollingsworth.
Absolutely. As we are getting set to go back to green flag racing here, we are going to have, I believe, 14 laps to go when we take the green flag. Nate Seefer, who got a great restart last time around, and he will get another great jump here on Will Fletcher
That
And
last restart, we saw Will Fletcher stack the field up and then hit the button. Nate Seeker didn't waste any time. The minute that pace car got out of the way, he got on the loud pedal and said, I'm out of here.
And that really spread the field out too, which might work to his advantage. Not too many guys able to get a draft as Seeker has gotten out to a lead. But as you can see now, starting to work it back are Fletcher and Hollingsworth. Chris Simard doing the same, trying to get that gap back down as these top four now are getting ready to race it out here for the final 13 laps. Jeffrey Bogan in that number 21 is getting into the battle as well. Bogan just put down the fastest first half of the lap in this entire race. Nate Seeker still out in front, but Hollingsworth and Fletcher have swapped second and third.
Yeah, Seeker doing everything he can to try and break that draft up, try to close off their run, you know, moving it up, moving down, but Seeker's now just focusing on holding the bottom of that track as we're coming up on 10 to go.
Hollingsworth makes a big move to the outside line, trying to get that run, trying to get that clean air to the front wing on Nate Seeker. Chris Simard up into the third position. Again, this is first, second, third in points, running first, second, and third in this race. Unfortunately for runners in second and third, it's the guy who's leading the point standings that's also leading this race. As Seeker, Hollingsworth, and Simard now all battling three abreast here for this race lead. Will Fletcher and Jeffrey Bogan there as well. Coming in through fourth and fifth, Charles Woods. We saw him have a big accident not more than 50 laps ago. He is up here now in sixth.
Yeah, he's not giving it up. You know, any one of these top six can win this race. Seeker doing everything he can to move up just a little and take a bit of the air off of Hollingsworth and then get his butt back down to the bottom of that track for the short way around.
Trying to defend the bottom, defend the bottom, defend the bottom. That is going to be the name of the game here as it comes down later into this race. 9 laps to go. Moves are going to start to get more aggressive here as Hollingsworth tries to take it all the way down to the line, gets the draft run, gets to the outside corner of Nate Seeker, is not able to hold it. As we ride on board with Hollingsworth, you see the run that he's trying to work on that outside line as we hit 8 laps to go. Wide open in fifth gear in that middle lane. These cars do have sixth gear, but you can run the revs higher in fifth. That's why most drivers choose to stay in fifth.
Yep, they're looking for more of that horsepower to get them around here. Horsepower equals speed. If you want to know the difference between horsepower, as Simard makes a bold inside move on Hollingsworth into that second spot and then immediately ducks to the outside to try and get around Seeker.
Jeffrey Bogan as well, trying to get around the inside of Jeff Hollingsworth, and Simard had one heck of a run coming out of turn 2, trying to get and stay to that outside of the one of Seeker, but Seeker has that all-important inside line as we come to 6 to go.
Yeah, Seeker, you're going to have to get a pry bar to pry him down off of that bottom lane because the guys can draft up behind him, but when they go to make that move on the outside, that draft just peters out so hard as they hit that clean air.
Another guy we have not seen all that much of up in this front battle is Tyler Bloom in the number 96. There he is on the outside of Charles Woods, and he's important because he's bringing Brett Beasley along with him. The 48 of Jose Viguera is also at the back end of this battle. The top 9 are all right here in this group, so any amount of these positions can change in the final 4.5 laps of Simard trying to find any way around the outside of that number 1.
Yeah, and don't look now. Hollingsworth's lurking in that third spot. He's just looking for the best way to make his move. He can catch a draft from the top line or the bottom lane, and he's electing to go up high with Simard, but that opened up the door. Bogan's right there.
Yeah, absolutely, and Bogan having an absolutely fantastic race. Bogan starting in the 21st position here tonight is up into 4th. Simard and Seeker still battling wheel to wheel as we come down to 3 laps to go. It looks like it's going to be between these two for the race win.
Unless someone can root Seeker off of that bottom. Seeker looks like he has it in command. Simard gets a heck of a run on the outside. He just can't quite get it done when he gets out to that straightaway.
And Bogan, Simard had to come down to the inside to block off Bogan from getting to his inside 3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go here at the line. Siefker still with Samard to his outside. Samard wishing he had that push to pass to try to help him around the outside of the 1.
Now, Samard
wreck in the back.
Siefker.
And that'll do it. It's Charles Woods.
That's going to do it.
Charles Woods in the wall hard, and that will end this race. Nate Siefker is going to be the winner here tonight. And unfortunately, for a race that was filled with cautions, it's unfortunately fitting that it ends with one also.
Well, to tell you the truth, you saw Chris Samard tuck right before that caution came out. Chris Samard tucked onto the low line right behind Siefker and started to back out just a little bit. Looked like he was going to mount a final, Hail Mary charge so he could shoot to the outside for the, to see if he can catch that momentum for the win. But caution came out. The flag's going to end it. We're going to cross the start-finish line right now. Give that win to Siefker. Samard second. Hollingsworth coming home with the rest of that podium.
I believe Jeffrey Bogut is going to be the one that comes away with the 3rd position. At least that's the way they're ordered on the racetrack right now.
Oh,
but
you're
coming
right.
across the line, it will be Nate Siefker winning the Windy City 300 at Chicago. Again, a race that is not indicative to what this series does on a week-in and week-out basis. But we certainly did have a lot of entertainment in the time that we were under green flag conditions.
8 cars finishing on the lead lap, and I'm going to give a shout-out to the Bravo Series driver that came over here, Jose Vergara. What a showing. Qualified 11th, brought it home in the 8th position. To do it with the Alpha drivers like he did tonight, especially here at Chicago, my hat's off to him.
Absolutely. Nate Siefker with his 4th win of the season. And fortunately for Chris Samard, Samard will limit the damage as much as he possibly could by coming home in 2nd here tonight. So we'll try to get these guys in as we usually do for post-race. And we will show you here in just a moment the caution that ended this race prematurely. Here for these drivers as Siefker burns it down for the race win. Let's take a look back and see what happened with Charles Woods with 2 to go. Oh, it's him in the 48.
Looks like he just chopped down trying to get some momentum and then cut that corner a little shorter so he can get around the track a little better. Looked like he just cut across the nose, did not quite have the clearance.
And that's unfortunately how this race ends. Under caution with the 40 of Charles Woods, hard in the wall, facing the wrong direction. And Nate Siefker takes the win here tonight. And Byron, I will give you the honors of interviewing our race winner here tonight.
Our race winner tonight, Mr. Nate Siefker. Man, you've had a dry spell since, what was it, week 4? Getting into the winner's circle. You looked like Chris Samard was going to challenge you real hard on that final lap, then that caution come out. Man, tell me about that run at the final end of that race.
Yeah, I felt like I was automatic there. I had to be in order to come away with the win there. I knew I had to hug that bottom and make it my baby and say, you're not going anywhere. So I hugged it, and I knew, 15 to 17 laps away that the setup was tonight. It got really loose and just snapped at that point if you weren't careful with it. So thankfully at that point never came with the lower fuel level, and I somehow kept it pegged on the bottom.
Yeah, we were noticing that. Also earlier, you had a restart where you started at the front of the field, and it looked like a parachute came out of the back of your car. You dropped 9 spots. Uh, what happened with that setup, or was it just fresh cold tires?
Well, that was about 45 to go, and with the yellows that we were having, I was trying to not have to pit for fuel again, just in case. So I was kind of map 5 and saving fuel. So the parachute was definitely out, but it was out for a reason at least. So I was kind of just saving fuel, trying to hit a number, and the yellows helped make me my number at least. Made my life a little bit easier in that second to
Well,
last in the finals bit, but
yeah, that setup that looked like you guys were really racing, man. It was one heck of a show. Watching, the top 8, just being 3 wide, right next to each other. Unfortunately, a little bit of net code here and there. The new damage model, spectacular to watch. Chicago is a challenging track in an open wheel car, 1.5 miles with these things, with those turns, man. It's just a testament to the show you guys put on, man. Anyone you want to shout out to?
yeah, I mean, I would like to thank you guys for sticking it out tonight. We know that these things aren't ever fun, especially when there's more yellows than we'd like. All I can say is we'll analyze, we'll improve, and we'll adapt and overcome to that. It's never fun for us to sit through yellows, and I'm sure it's not fun for you guys either. I'd like to thank every. Oh, go ahead.
They brought me along. I'm sitting in the cab of an 18-wheeler in the middle of God's country nowhere, Kansas, on a cell connection. Actually, happy to be able to call the race, man. You guys still
Oh,
put on a hell of a show.
well, we're glad, and I'd like to thank all the drivers that come out. Tonight we had a pretty massive field. I think we had 29 to 30 cars come out tonight, so that was pretty awesome to see. When you get that many cars, it makes life a little bit more difficult, of course, but we'll see how we can improve that in the future. And then thank the admin group here, Chris, Dan, Butch. They're nice, and they all crashed out early, so at least one of the admin guys did all right. And then my teammates that I got there, Mike Grandy and Tyler Boom. Tyler had a great showing tonight. He came on with the top 5. And then last thing, thank our sponsor, Turn Racing. They got with their code on the broadcast for that, and thank all of ESPN's partners as well.
Well, that's your race winner, Nate Seeker. Where are we going next week, Nate?
We're going to Spa.
Oh, you know what? Some people think of a nice warm little tub of water when they think spa. When I hear the word spa, I think road racing in Belgium. It is going to be a great race. I can't wait to watch that one.
Yeah, it should be a blast.
All righty, that's your race winner there, everybody. Nate Seeker bringing home the top trophy tonight. Frank,
User was moved out of your
have
channel.
you got our second place finisher, Mr. Chris Samard?
User was moved to your channel.
I do believe I do here just momentarily, as Chris, you had a great race. It looked like you had a run that that you probably could have challenged Nate with come the end there. Just unfortunately that caution came out.
Yeah, I'm kind of killing myself because there was a lap before Nate gave up the bottom a little bit, and I could have went down on the inside, and I chose not to. I don't know if he would have cut me off there a little bit or not, but kind of killing myself there. But second's a good finish after tonight, after crashing at the start there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys certainly had a really good race. It appeared as though it was a little bit difficult to be able to work that outside line in order to make a pass. It didn't seem to be all that bad running up there. What was it like running that middle to outside line, and what kind of runs could you get?
You could get good runs if you were behind the car in front of you, but if you got anywhere up alongside, it took everything to stay up alongside of them. I don't know what it was, the aero or iRacing did an update. Maybe they kind of changed it a little bit. I don't know, but it was really tough on the outside, and you couldn't get much of a run unless you were on the inside of the person. So I mean, on the outside, behind the person. I can't speak.
It's more than okay. You limited the damage with you sitting in second place in points to Nate. You were able to limit the damage as much as you possibly could. Going into Spa-Francorchamps next week, pardon me. What are you expecting going into the road course?
Well, the Rover wasn't very good for me. I spun out like 5 times on my own, so I'm not actually looking forward to it. But just race the track. That's all I have to do. I can't race anyone that's faster than me up front. I just got to race the track and get a top 5 finish and limit the amount of points that I lose from Nate. The biggest thing for me is staying on the track because I always lose. I always get off track and lose. Get penalized for that, and I got to stay on the track. I just got to get 0 incidents, and if I get a top 5, I get a top 5. If not, a good top 10, and limit the amount that I lose to Nate.
Well, good news is next week it's going to be the shortest race as far as laps goes. Unfortunately, it's going to be the longest as far as lap times go. Anyone you want to thank here after coming in second here tonight?
I just want to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do a great job. Our partners, Turn Racing, I forget a lot. I apologize for that. But all of our sponsors and partners that keep this league going strong. My wife and son, and all my new teammates. I know we've been together for a couple races now, so all my new teammates, they help me out pretty good. So
yeah, absolutely, and you did a fantastic job tonight. Chris Samard, your second place finisher here tonight, bud. Congratulations.
Thank you. I also would like to apologize to Paul Krumrei. I kind of hit him there, and I didn't mean to do that. I was watching the leaders, and they were kind of wrecking up front. Well, they didn't wreck, but I slowed down, and I should have kept going. But I hit Paul, and I apologize. I never want to hit anyone and ruin anyone's race. So.
Well, fair enough. We've seen you as a clean racer all season long and last year as well. So your second place finisher here tonight, Chris Samard, bud. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Too, and I believe, Byron, that will leave you with our third place finisher tonight, Jeffrey
User
Bogan.
was moved to your channel.
Yeah, our third place
User was
finisher
moved out of
tonight,
your
Jeffrey
channel.
Bogan, man. What a run. We watched you go from the top to the back to the top, and it looked like these cars had some great suck up. But the minute you got out front, it was all brakes and parachute from there. Great job on grabbing that podium position right there at the end.
Well, thank you, boys. Had a good time out there tonight. It was a full-blown Talladega race out there. It was a real good time. I know we made some contact a couple times out there. I apologize. It was real tough when you're 2x2, 4 back. But man, that was a whole lot of fun.
We were looking at 3x3 for a while, man.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. I tried to avoid that at all costs. But yeah, man, I tell you what, it was a blast. I could say that because I got through it. But man, that was a good time.
Yeah, it looked like a good time. The setup on the car looked like it might got a little twitchy when the fuel tank got a little light. Were you guys having to make those in-car adjustments to stay up on top of it really bad, or just ride it out?
Yeah, I was trying to tighten the car up as the run went on. You really got to about 18, 20 laps, and that thing wanted to snap around on you. So I was trying to stay up on the bars and negative weight jacker, and we were busy in the cars tonight. I know a lot of the drivers were, but yeah, it was tough, man. But it was definitely a good time out there.
Well, you know what? It was a great show to watch. Anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight, man?
Well, absolutely. I appreciate you guys up in the booth. Got to give a shout out to Turn Racing, my teammates at RDR, Tim Bates, Duckworth, and Beasley. Also want to give a shout out to my brother, John. He actually watches every week, probably one of your loyal followers. So what's up, bro? And hey, I appreciate the drivers and all the admins, the guys who put in all the work. Dan, Butch, all the guys. A lot of work went into this setup this week.
Yeah, well, you got some work to do for next week because you're not only going to be doing left turns, you got right turns with Spa next week. What's your thoughts going into that?
I think I'm one of the few people that enjoys going right. I just try to pick a pace and stick to it, and try to come out at the end without running off the track a whole lot or running into somebody. Obviously there's a few guys with a whole lot of pace there, Nate and Butch being two of them. Outside of that, we just try to push forward and fight for the leftovers. You know what I mean?
Well, there you go, man. Well, hey, hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the race next week. That's your third place finisher, everyone. Jeffrey Bogan sitting on the podium. Frank, your thoughts at the end of the
User
race?
was moved out of your channel.
Yeah, no, it was a fun race here tonight. As for the green flag racing that we did have, it was a very fun and entertaining race that we had here tonight, side by side. As you'd mentioned, 3 wide racing. It was absolutely incredible. We had it all tonight. I know you were only in here for half of it, Byron, but tonight really was an entertaining race.
Yeah, you're making me feel bad for missing the first half of it, but I was glad to see the second half of it, and looked like a great show. And I'm looking forward to being a spectator or maybe even joining you guys. Hopefully, Tony will be back next week with us, and we can sit back and watch a show at Spa.
Yeah, we certainly hope Tony will be back next week. But for that, we will go to the results here for tonight's race. Nate Siefker, Chris Samar, Jeffrey Bogan, we just heard from them. Those guys finishing on the podium here tonight. Jeff Hollingsworth, Tyler Bloom coming home in the top 5 positions. Brett Beasley, who had been up at the front for a good portion of tonight's race, comes home in 6th. Will Fletcher, who we saw up there at the very end, coming home in 7th. Jose Viguera, in his debut race here in the Alpha Series, comes home in 8th. Joe Morganti finishing in 9th. Charles Woods comes home rounding out the top 10 despite his big crash. Paul Crumry, Mike Grandy Sr., Tony Phillips, Bentley Glazer, and Ronnie Osmer round out the top 15. Glazer and Osmer failing to finish.
Yeah, Dan Brasington coming home in the 16th position. Butch Davis, Sean Loveridge, Tim Bates bringing in 18th, or 19th, I'm sorry, and rounding out your top 20, Jeffrey Roulette. Raul Alvarez out early, finishing in 21st. Johnny Antonucci, 22nd. Chris Walker, Yari Brewpacker. Usually we're calling Yari's name an awful lot at the front of the race. He's taken out by an early incident early in the race. He finishes 24th. Michael Bourne, 25th. Carl Burke, Kevin O'Brien, and Leonardo Elijah rounding out the field, finishing 28th.
And Jason Duckworth not starting tonight's race in that number 18, what would have been the 4th RDR entry here for the race tonight. So that will do it for us here tonight. Just a reminder, coming up tomorrow night here on ESPN will be the DOB 410 Sprint Series. They will be at Eldora at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Immediately following that will be the Big Block Modified Series for DOB. They will be at Limaland Raceway Park at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so immediately following the 410s. Coming up on Friday night will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Daytona, 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. They will be in the ARCA cars this week. And then coming up on Tuesday will be a doubleheader. It will be the MX5 Pro Series from Alton Park at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And then at 10:05 will be the Western States Racing League from Pocono, round number 12 of their 45th season in as a league. Absolutely incredible for them. So that again will do it for us here tonight. We thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We know it was a long one here tonight, but thank you very much for sticking with us. We will see you all next week from Spa-Francorchamps and tomorrow night for the dirt racing doubleheader at Eldora and at Limaland. Have a fantastic night, everybody.